Imagine this. You wake up to the sound of birds, the chatter of children heading to school, and shopkeepers opening their stores. It's August 6th, 1945, at Hiroshima, a vibrant city in Japan, alive with energy. Families prepare breakfast, workers rush to their jobs, and the city pulses like it does every morning. But none of them know that in less than an hour, their lives will change forever. Because flying silently above the clouds is a bomber carrying the most destructive weapon humanity has ever built. By the summer of 1945, World War II had dragged on for 6 long years. Germany had already surrendered in May, but Japan fought on. The Allies faced a difficult choice: launch a full scale invasion of Japan, which could cost millions of lives, or use their secret weapon, the atomic bomb. Hiroshima was chosen as the first target. Why? It was a major military hub filled with soldiers and supply lines. It was untouched by previous bombings, making it perfect place to demonstrate the weapon's full power. And it was a city that symbolized both tradition and modernity, sending a powerful message. At dawn, Hiroshima was still beautiful and calm, but above Pacific, an American bomber called Enola Gay was already in the air. The Enola Gay, piloted by Colonel Paul Tibbets, carried a bomb nicknamed Little Boy. This wasn't just a weapon, it was a scientific leap into the unknown. Even the scientists who built it didn't fully know what would happen once it detonated. At 8 and a quarter a.m., the bomb bay doors opened. The 10-foot long, 9,000 bomb began its slow fall towards the city below. People on the ground looked up, some pointing curiously at the object falling from the sky. They had no idea that was coming. At 6:16, Hiroshima changed forever. In a fraction of a second, a blinding white flash, brighter than the sun, engulfed the city. Temperature at the epicenter reached over 3,000 Celsius, hot enough to melt steel. Building vanished. Wooden house caught on fire instantly. People standing near the center of the blast didn't even have time to scream. They simply disappeared, leaving only shadows seared into the walls and sidewalks their bodies had been. Those a little farther away were thrown across streets, their skin burned and hanging from their arms. The shockwave shattered windows miles away, ripping through the city like a hurricane of a fire and debris. In less than 1 minute, Hiroshima was gone. But for those who didn't die instantly, the nightmare was only at the beginning. Survivors stumbled through the ruins, skin blackened, clothes shredded, eyes blind from the flash. Mothers carried their burned children, begging for help. Arrivals filled with people desperately throwing themselves into the water to cool their burning bodies. Doctors and nurses who survived rushed to help, but almost every hospital in the city had been destroyed. Supplies were gone. Most of the medical staff were dead. Survivors had to watch helplessly as their loved ones died from burns, wounds, and something even more terrifying: radiation. The people of Hiroshima didn't know it yet, but the atomic bomb had unleashed something invisible and deadly. Radiation sickness began to spread. Hair fell out in clumps, skin peeled away. People who seemed fine after the explosion collapsed days later, vomiting blood. Children developed fevers that never went away. Families who survived the blast will lose members slowly, one by one. The survivors gave it a name: the atomic disease. Back in America, the government announced the success of the mission. Newspapers printed bold headlines: Atomic bomb destroys Hiroshima. The world had entered a nuclear age. But for the people in Hiroshima, there was no celebration, only silence, smoke, and grief. Over 17,000 people died instantly. By the end of 1945, the number rises to over 1,040,000 as radiation and injuries claimed more lives. And yet, in that devastation, there were stories of unmeasurable courage, people who gave their last drops of water to strangers, doctors who treated the wounded until they themselves collapsed, and families who refused to leave loved ones behind. In the years that followed, Hiroshima rebuilt itself from the ashes. Today, it is a city of peace, a living reminder of the cost of war. The Hiroshima Peace Memorial, known as the Atomic Bomb Dome, still stands in ruins, preserved exactly as it was after the blast. Every year, people gather to remember the victims and to pray that such a weapon will never again be used. Survivors called Hibakusha still share their stories, reminding the world of the horrors they witnessed as children and young adults. Hiroshima was not just a story of a city destroyed, it was a story of humanity stepping into an age of terrifying power and the responsibility that comes with it. One city, one bomb, one morning that changed the world forever. That is the story of Hiroshima. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to share and subscribe. See you later.